What's up, guys and gals? It's the Tyrant here, and welcome back to my Halo 5 Guardians Mythic Difficulty walkthrough. That's Legendary All Skulls on, no saves, no deaths, and scoring applied. Today we are doing Mission 14 entitled The Breaking. This is an all-Promethean mission that finishes off with a triple Warden battle, and there are two ways that you can tackle that battle. I'm going to go over those over the course of the mission and show you the best ways to do it. Now, for this mission, you are back in the shoes of the Master Chief for the third and final time. You start out with a regular pistol as well as an assault rifle, and your buddies have their own weapons as well. Now, coming up on this first battle right here, it's going to be just crawlers to begin with. Now, it's going to get a little bit more intense as you keep going, but I do want to start out by saying send your allies up there first, so that they can absorb most of the shots. Do not be afraid to target each individual crawler, just so that you can take these guys out easier. Once you've cleared this first wave, what you're going to want to do is arm yourself with a suppressor, and eventually you're going to want to get a bolt shot as well. You want to also armor up your allies with these suppressors as well. They will shred the Prometheans with them. So these are the best weapons to have. Now, one thing that I want to point out, this first part right here is one of the hardest portions of this mission. Basically, it's just this one floor. You've got lots of crawlers. As you progress, you're going to have to deal with soldiers, watchers, and eventually knights. Until then, though, what I'm going to highly recommend that you do is you take them out bit by bit. Do not advance too far. Basically, triggering the other enemies isn't based on whether or not, isn't based on how many you've killed, but how far you advance. So if you try to run, for example, to the door at the end of the platform right here, you're going to spawn all the enemies, but you won't be able to proceed until all the enemies are dead, making it much more difficult for you. So again, just take it bit by bit. If you get a chance where you can get your shields back, that's great. But otherwise, just let your allies revive you if need be. You're probably going to be doing that a few times at least in this mission, especially with the amount of splinter grenades that are going to be thrown at you. So again, we're just starting out. Most of the crawlers here are going to have suppressors. In fact, I think all the crawlers on Mythic have suppressors thanks to the Thunderstorm Skull. And there are some light rifles around here too, but you're going to want to use that ammo very sparingly. Your best friends in this mission are going to be the light rifle and the suppressor. The light rifle is going to be very useful for certain enemies, and I'm looking at Fred right here. He's just kind of sitting there in midair. I'm not even sure what's going on here, but I'm waiting for him to respawn, because before we proceed forward, it's always best to have all your allies. Now, one of the things that I want to point out here, going towards the end of the mission, you have two ways that you can fight the Warden. The first is the recommended way, which is you simply skip the battle, especially if this is your first time playing this mission on Mythic or LASO difficulties. Then you're going to want to just do the easy way. Of course, Fred's responding, even though he's just laying right there. The second way is it's entirely possible to fight the battle out. I have a 60-second long video where I was able to take out all three Wardens on Legendary in under a minute. So it is certainly possible, and if you want to go that route, I'm going to show you how to do it. But one of the key things that you're going to need to do, if you should go that route, let's just say you're a seasoned Mythic or LASO player at this point, then what you really need to do is keep your allies alive throughout the entire mission. Now, at the beginning, you have some leniency with that, but once you cross a certain threshold, you cannot lose any of your allies. So what you can see, what we did right there is we trigger the next wave. This is going to spawn in some soldiers, some crawlers, and a pair of watchers. Those watchers should be a high priority for you, but if an enemy just happens to sneak up like these crawlers right here, don't be afraid to take them out first. Keep your allies near you at this point, because you're going to be getting spammed by splinter grenades, and it's going to be very easy for you to go into armor lock. So you're going to need those allies around to help you. One thing that you need to watch out here for, especially when it comes to the grenades, is with the cowbell skull activated, they can easily launch your allies off of platforms. You can see one of our Spartan buddies right there flying around in the air, and it's very easy to launch them straight off the platforms. So it's okay to get a little crazy in this part as long as you don't go too far ahead. Remember, your allies can resurrect you, but I will point this out. If you're in the middle of a grenade spam, they're not going to be able to help because the grenades will be tossing your allies around, and you only have a certain time limit in terms of how long your allies have to bring you back. So just be sure to keep that in mind. Be cautious, but have fun at the same time. This mission is not as hard as I initially thought it would be. At least not on this difficulty. It's just a matter of micromanaging your allies, what weapons they have, what enemies they're fighting, and making sure you know which ones are on the battlefield. Keep them close to you, make sure you give them plenty of direction in this mission, and it shouldn't be too difficult. Once you start taking too much fire, don't be afraid to fall back. Most of the enemies here will not follow you. The crawlers can sometimes be an exception to that rule, but very rarely is an enemy going to follow you all the way back to this location. So if you start taking a lot of damage or you start losing allies, it's okay to fall back. So we're having some issues right here trying to avoid the grenade spam. I'd recommend going up one side at a time. Usually there's going to be a soldier or two just perched up on the ledge, so get your allies to target them. They're not heavily armed, so don't worry too much there, but keep an eye on those watchers. Make those watchers your top priority. If you feel like you can take a soldier down without a watcher interfering, that's fine, but remember, keep those watchers as a top priority. And as you can see, our allies are completely shredding them because they all have suppressors. Now, we are going to change up some of the weapons after this section right here. Really, it's up to you what you want to do, but weapons have different effects when in the hands of your allies, so just keep that in mind. So right now, we're just trying to slowly progress forward. We got to take out these soldiers next. And of course, as you can see, I'm getting grenade spammed like crazy. And that's what happens right there. That's why you got to be extra careful, because now that grenade spam is making it very difficult for my allies to reach me. I lucked out big time on that one. I'm surprised that my allies had enough time to bring me back, because normally they don't. Or the allies start hesitating. They seem to be a little bit better in this mission than they are in Battle of Sinayan, a mission where they tend to just run into doors and just ignore your orders completely. So I have to admit, Blue Team seems to be killing it this time around, as opposed to Fire Team Osiris. So right now we're just waiting for our allies to come back. Don't get overly aggressive here. Just kind of stick down. We only have, I think, Fred is left at this point, so just kind of hang tight, wait for your other allies to respawn. It's very easy at this point for him to get launched off the platform or just get grenade spammed entirely, and if you lose him, then you're not going to be able to be revived if you get taken down. It's pretty easy for that to happen in this game. So take it nice and slow. We're going to wait for those allies to respawn back in, and then we're going to take each side one at a time to deal with the soldiers. If you go too far, then you're going to spawn the knights that are guarding the door at the far end of this platform. Fortunately, this first section of the level, this is all there is to it. It's not multi-leveled or multi-layered like the second part of the mission. So we just have to be able to get to the other side of the platform, but there are a ton of enemies standing in our way. Now, when our allies come back, we're going to want to reload them with suppressors once again. Of course, don't forget to pick up ammo yourself. That's going to be quite crucial. If you run out of suppressor ammo, then they can pick up bolt shots instead. That works fine too. I've just noticed that the suppressors seem to have better range when they're in the hands of your allies. So just be sure to keep that in mind. So again, we're going to advance nice and slow here. The knights are going to be a little bit tricky once we get to them, but until then, make sure that you mark your soldiers so that your allies know exactly what to shoot at and they can spam that soldier, all of them can. And don't forget to jump in there yourself to put some more fire on that soldier. He fell pretty easily if you look right there. So I'm going to look one more time to make sure, yep, there's still one more soldier over here. I think there's two on each side, so we need to be able to take both of them out. What I have noticed, though, is the soldiers tend to not go from one side to the other. They tend to stick to their base side. So don't forget to just take them out one at a time. Focus. If your allies start dropping, fall back. As you can see, we have a lot of grenade spam coming our way. And it's not just the splinter residue you have to worry about, it's getting launched off the side. And that goes for your allies too, although your allies are far more resistant to that residue. So just keep that in mind. So we're going to try to move up this side a little bit, see if we get a slightly better angle right here. And there's that soldier, so we're going to go ahead and take him down. Almost knocked our ally right off the ledge right there. But fortunately, it seems like we're finally putting on the pressure. So, oh, and we got soldiers down there too. But we want to take out this guy first if we can. We want to make sure we have elevation to our advantage. Now, you don't have to worry about your allies spawning in the next wave of enemies. They will, even if your allies go to the other side of the room, you don't have to worry too much. So that's another soldier down. Looks like we have a couple of them down here, so we're going to go ahead and take out these guys real quick. As you can see, the bolt shot is very good at taking these guys out too. As soon as you see that grenade start heading your way or being lobbed in your direction, don't be afraid to dash. As long as there isn't a ledge beside you, you should be in pretty good shape. This is a good opportunity to get your shields back when he's stuck in the animation for throwing a grenade. So we should be in relatively good shape as long as my allies' grenade didn't take down my shields again. So again, make sure all of your allies have their the weapons that they need. In this case, that's going to be suppressors. Now, you should have access to a couple of light rifles down here. At the very least, you should have one. So we're going to go ahead and pick one of those up. This is great for dealing with knights. Now, if you're really fast, you've got a steady hand, which you can do with the knights, since there's going to be two that spawn up ahead. These are two minor knights, but they both have incineration cannons. If you hit the vents on their arms, they will temporarily open up their face mask, and if you're very quick, you can take them out in just one shot by hitting that open face mask. Now, I'm not that quick, so it's going to be a lot more difficult for me to do it, but fortunately, the suppressor is pretty good too. And since we have our allies all armed with suppressors, it shouldn't be too big of a problem. But so there are a couple more crawlers up here. There should be more crawlers on the other side, and there should be a couple of soldiers over there as well. There's nothing too overwhelming here. It's just a matter of taking your time and holding back. This is typically the most tedious battle in the entire mission, simply because you're not really armored, or you don't have the weapons to be able to sufficiently cut through this as easily as some of the ones further into the mission. So just remember to be careful. Now, one of the plus sides about fighting within this tunnel is they're using a weapon that arcs. And when they're using that weapon, they can only shoot at you if they're a certain distance away. If they're too far away, then their projectiles won't reach you. If they're too close, they're just going to hit the ceiling. Now, they can occasionally dash forward and shoot at the same time to give their projectiles a little bit more speed to them, so just keep that in mind. But the suppressor is a pretty good weapon to wear them down. I've noticed that on Mythic Difficulty, because they get that Mythic health boost, it's a lot more difficult to break their faceplates, even with Promethean weapons. So be sure to keep that in mind. Just make sure you have lots of ammo. Keep your allies alive as long as you can. That way they can continue to put fire on them as well. Since there are no watchers around, you don't have to worry about their health recharging. So at least you have that working for you. But again, watch your allies, make sure they're still around. Try not to get in the way of the suppressor's fire, because even if they manage to knock you down, if you're within striking distance of the knight, then your allies will not be able to revive you, because the knights will just keep blasting your allies. So they got a little bit of a charge out of that one right there, but still managed to miss. The knight on the right is pretty weak at this point, so now it's just a matter of trying to deal with his faceplate. I tried to get him right there when his faceplate opened up, but no such luck. So now we have two very weak knights who have very strong faceplates. So this is going to be a little bit interesting. The only downside to trying to fight this on higher ground is that also puts you at the disadvantage of the knights being able to hit you with their incineration cannon. So just be very careful here. We're going to take this nice and slow. I'm going to see if my allies can do any damage with their grenades. Sometimes they can land some perfect shots. Right now, if the knight had its back turned, we could finish him off with a light rifle. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Now, I could send my allies to the other side. Ooh, that's a perfect shot. Perfect curveball right there. But the problem with doing that is you can't just send one ally over. You'd have to send them all. And so if your allies don't make it because there's two knights left, then you have the issue of not being able to get your health back without well, you really can't get your health back if all three are down. Now, as far as I know, there's only a couple of crawlers over here. The knights won't follow you over, so there is that. But I'm going to go ahead and see if we can take these guys out real quick so we have a bit more leeway on the battlefield right here. So the light rifle, again, is an option, but I don't recommend... Whoa, there they all go. Right off the side. I wouldn't recommend using the light rifle too much right here because there just isn't a lot of ammo for it in this particular area. Let's see, we've got more suppressor ammo up here. That's perfect. Just what we need. And there's going to be more on the other side. Basically, each side is a mirror of the other. Okay, so we have one more crawler. I want my allies to take him out so that it's just us and the knight. Or knights, I should say. That's plural. There's two of them. So we're going to keep just trying to wear them down. That's really the best thing you can do right here. Looks like they still have a crawler friend over there as well. So again, just wearing them down. Really, again, the ideal thing here is, and this works better for the second area where you'll find knights in this mission, because it's larger, you can easily get your allies to run in one direction to turn their backs on the knights so that the knights concentrate on them. Here, it's a little bit closed off. Like we certainly have the option of running up one side and then sending our allies over to the other, but because this room is a lot smaller than the final area, it's very easy for the knights just to simply turn on you very quickly. So I'm hoping we can get this. Technically, our Spartan right there shouldn't have had the range to do that, but we sort of lucked out in that area, so you got to be careful. That's one of the main reasons it's very difficult to be fighting on the top level when you're doing Mythic. These guys just have way too much health. Okay, so we still have a crawler over here. I want to get that guy down. And we're just going to keep pounding away at that faceplate unless they turn around. If they turn around, we can end this pretty quickly. But they have tons of armor here. I'm not exactly sure how many shots it takes. If you remember when we were working on the mission, I believe it's called Unconfirmed, we just sat there with a ton of ammo, with a ton of battle rifle and DMR ammo, just taking out the faceplate bit by bit, and it took like 3 clips to be able to do it. These guys do not fall easily. Really, again, the nice thing about taking out both their arm plates is that it does leave their back exposed, which is just as good, almost as good. It's a little bit stronger than the face, but it's almost as good as being able to deal with them in the face. So hopefully we can get our allies to eventually distract them a little bit. I'm trying to see if I can get them just to run some circles over here. Again, I just want to try to be easy because the knights will always make you as a priority. If they can't see you, they'll go after your allies, but otherwise they're going to always make you a priority even if your allies are shooting at them. So at least the dash works here. That's always nice. Okay, so again, I'm just trying to be careful, try not to get taken off guard by the splinter cannons there. It's a pain in the butt because this really can take some time. You just don't have the weapons here to be able to take them out quickly on Mythic or LASO. Okay, at least my allies are all okay. So that's sort of the main thing here. That's the thing that you want to keep in mind the most. So I thought for a second that his core was exposed, but it's not. So again, we just sort of have to take it at face value. I'm hoping that they'll start throwing some grenades down there. I'm going to start using my splinter grenades, but thanks to tough luck, they tend to dodge them a lot more. So hopefully our allies will not let us down and help us out a little bit. Unfortunately, the splinter rounds were a little faster than I thought they would be. So hopefully my allies can get their butts up here and get me back into the fight. Fortunately, it looks like my allies are distracted right now. One knight is without a faceplate. That's perfect. So at this point, we should be able to take him out fairly easily.
On my mark, blue team. We lost Fred. Regroup.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move in. And where is he? He's hiding now because he knows he's in trouble. All right, so we're going to make sure my allies aren't... There we go. All right, so one knight's down since we don't have any light rifle ammo left. It's basically just resorting to the pistol at this point. But don't worry, there's more light rifle at the end of this little area right here. So we have one knight left. And this shouldn't be too big of a deal. Again, as long as your allies are alive, you can take a few risks here. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of moving space in this tunnel, so if they're going to start holding back like that, there's not a lot that can be done. Fortunately, that knight did not fire on my allies, otherwise that probably would have been the end of the mission. Not a huge deal since this is still technically the beginning, but as you can see, we've already been playing for 20 minutes, and I would not like to repeat this 20 minutes. Okay, so we're getting close here. We're definitely getting close. I can see the electrical surges around his faceplate. So we're definitely getting there. I'm going to see if I can just weaken him with a splinter grenade. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. It really just depends on whether or not they dodge it. But believe it or not, yes, splinter grenades are effective against Prometheans.
Get everything on that knight.
Right away.
So I'm going to send my allies over there. We're going to see if we can, at the very least, distract him. If we can do that, then I can nail him with the suppressor, and then we should be in relatively good shape. Unfortunately, my grenade throwing is not what it used to be.
Everything on that knight.
Got it.
Okay, so hopefully he's facing away right now. I saw him chasing after one of my allies. So at this point, oh, there he is over here. Is his attention focused? Because we might be able to just finish him off. But essentially, that's the way you got to do it. Basically, your allies are decoys. There we go. And sometimes they actually score a home run. Fantastic. So that's the first area down. Took longer than I wanted it to, but that's not unusual for this mission. It's not a tough mission, but it is a bit of a grind, so just keep that in mind. Now, since our ally has passed out a couple of times here, make sure again that they have suppressors. Now, here's where things start getting interesting. So each knight had an incineration cannon here. My advice would be getting your allies to pick one up each. So out of your 3 allies, 2 of them at this point should have incineration cannons. Now, while they're not as good individually against smaller Promethean units, they can still be very effective if your allies are using them correctly. The main reason that you want to focus on the incineration cannons now is because if you do want to take on the Wardens and not skip them, your allies are going to need incineration cannons, and there are only 7 of them in the entire mission. 4 of them are being used by Promethean Knights, and the other 3 are in weapons racks like this one. So right here we're going to make sure we have a full light rifle. You have light rifles on either side, so you should be in good shape, as well as a full suppressor. And then we're going to move on to the second part of the mission. The second part of the mission really is not that bad. It gets a little bit hectic towards the end because you'll be dealing with a lot of soldiers. But aside from that, it's mostly just going to be crawlers. You'll have a couple of focus turrets. You'll have a couple of soldier captains with splinter turrets. But really, it's not that tough. You should be okay as long as you know where to pitch your tent. So now we just have to wait for the banter between Cortana and the Chief. This is fortunately not as bad as the banter between Cortana and the Gravemind in the Mission Cortana in Halo 3. At least the game is still moving, and at least when most of this banter is happening, there's no serious action happening on the screen.
How many people died when you called the
So we're just taking our time here.
Excuse me?
You know, don't you? The exact body count.
Okay. So what you want to keep in mind for this second platform, it's multi-level. There's going to be 3 levels, and then there's going to be one final stretch where there's going to be a lot of soldiers. What you can do here, up front, there's going to be a lot of crawlers, a bunch of crawlers, and then on either ramp, on the left and right sides, there's going to be a soldier captain with a splinter cannon, or a splinter turret.
Blue team.
Now you can back up as much as you want to on that platform. It's not going to disappear. You can utilize it as much as you want to, and definitely don't be afraid to do it because as you can see, these crawlers are definitely advancing. They're not afraid to hold back. So again, just take these guys out one by one. Watch out for those soldiers right there. What you're going to want to do is when the dust settles a little bit and the soldiers the crawlers aren't so aggressively attacking you, they're sort of holding back a little bit, that's when you want to get out your light rifle and focus on those soldier captains. That'll make life a lot easier for both you and your allies. Remember, those splinter turrets right there, they may not necessarily damage your allies right off the bat or do any serious damage, but they can very easily launch them into the abyss, just like we mentioned before with the splinter grenades. So take it nice and easy here. Looks like our allies are doing pretty well against the crawlers. And it looks like the distraction's off. Now, if they start taking too much damage, bring them back to your location. That's going to be very important. Okay, so also here your allies do have incineration cannons, so they can do a fair amount of damage if they want to. It's hard to really determine where they find it appropriate to use the incineration cannon versus their primary weapon. So we're going to go ahead and just give them a head start by dealing with this first soldier captain over here. You can tell he's weak because his big metal hat will fly off and his orange face will be exposed. And so again, we're just taking it nice and simple here. Hopefully, there we go. Okay, I was afraid that I was going to get spammed by more splinter rounds. That's one thing that you do have to watch out for here. So I want to take this guy out as quickly as possible. Boom, he's down. There's only one more left. So we're going to go ahead and take this guy out. He's a little bit more hesitant because he just saw his buddy bite the big one. So hopefully this guy should go down fairly simple. If you're able to get your shields back once these guys are down by meleeing a crawler, that's fine. Just make sure your allies are in range. The crawlers aren't as aggressive, so even if they're like meleeing you or your allies are trying to bite them, it's okay. They can still get you back up without too much of an issue. Really, it's grenade spam and splinter turret spam that's going to cause your allies to not be able to resurrect you, so you don't want that. So again, now it's just a shooting gallery. You're going to go back and forth, use that suppressor. Oh, it's a lot of fun. Look at that. That was a lot. That was just so cool. This mission, like I said, it's a nice break, especially after dealing with Battle of Sinayon. Now, of course, we just came from the mission Genesis, and that's a nice tank mission, but this is definitely one of the easier ones we've had in a while, where you're not in a vehicle and you can just sort of run around with your allies and have a little bit of fun. Okay, so we have a couple more crawlers up here. There's going to be another platform above us with even more crawlers. They're all over this place. Here's the one main thing I'm not a fan of when it comes to this mission, is that there's just so much. You move a few steps and then you have to fight another wave of enemies. It gets a little bit boring after a while, but at least the mission isn't as long as I remember it, so that's not too bad. Also, there is a specialized shotgun up there if you want it. It's a, I forget it, it's not the River of Light. It's basically a souped up, not a bolt shot, wow, scatter shot. Such weird names for alien weapons, I'm telling you. Okay, so once again, we're going to deal with these guys right here. So what you saw right there is another incineration cannon. There's one on the opposite side as well.
Get moving. Okay.
So 2 of your allies have incineration cannons. This will allow the third one to get an incineration cannon as well. That means 3 of your allies can have incineration cannons at this point. This is really the point right here where you cannot, and I stress, cannot let your allies die if you're planning on fighting the Warden Eternal on Mythic Difficulty, because each of your allies is going to need an incineration cannon. If your allies die from here on out, then you're not going to be able to have enough. Because after this part right here, there are 3 incineration cannons left in the mission. 2 will be wielded by knights, and you're going to want that third one for yourself. So at this point, up to 2 of your allies can die, and you can have their incineration cannons replaced. But if that third one dies, you're not going to get the firepower you need to deal with the Warden. You're not going to see that here today. Like I said, I have another video out there where I take down the 3 Wardens in roughly a minute on legendary difficulty. The premise basically works the same way, but again, if this is your first time playing this mission on Mythic Difficulty, and since you're watching a walkthrough, I'm going to assume that it is, then you're going to want the easiest way to deal with that boss fight, and really it's just going to be skipping it. But again, for future reference, once you've got your Mythic feet wet and you feel confident in dealing with that battle, this is how you would be doing it. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get my shields back with this guy. Perfect. Alright, so when you move up to this next level right here, this is the end of the crawler area. You're going to have 2 soldier captains spawn. Each one is going to have a scatter shot, and you're going to have 2 focus turrets spawn as well. The focus turrets, even on Mythic Difficulty, are surprisingly easy to deal with. All you need is a light rifle, and 2 shots to the center is enough to destroy the focus turret. Now, right here, I'm waiting for my ally to respawn, just so that we know we have the manpower going up there. Really, I'm not worried about the focus turrets, but those 2 captains can be a nuisance, and we want our allies alive for that. We don't want one of those captains gunning it straight for us, because if that happens, it's going to be a lot harder for us to walk away from it. Now, we do have full shields right now, but really you want those shields to last you into the next major area, because we're going to be fighting about a dozen soldiers there. And so you want as much shields as possible, because you know we're going to get spammed with grenades. That's going to be, it's not even a question at that point. So having enough, as much of a buffer as you can is very important. So again, we're just waiting for our allies to show up. I'm not exactly sure exactly what the time is on it. I don't know how long it actually takes. I hear anywhere from 60 to 90 seconds. So we should be in good shape now. We're going to run up here. You have to go up just a little ways. But as soon as you see those warps start spawning in, immediately gun it back down to the 2nd level. Okay, so there we see that little lens flare. Go straight back down here. Make sure your allies are with you. And we got nicked there by a focus turret, so be a little careful. The soldiers are actually going to follow you down here, so just be aware of that. And it's entirely possible that they can get launched off the side with your allies' grenades. Now, he actually snuck up on me. That was kind of scary, but we lucked out there. He sort of froze. Like, I don't even think he realized what he was doing. I think it was one of those deals where he ported over and was like, oh, I did it right this time. All right, so both those guys are down. Those are the only enemies up there aside from the focus turrets. You can send your allies up there with incineration cannons to deal with them too, but I'm going to show you how easy this is. See, 2 shots, even on Mythic Difficulty, is all it takes, but the turrets have to be open. And they're also weak on the sides as well. When they're closed, it doesn't work quite as easy. Of course, my aim was a little off right there, but fortunately we got it down. So it doesn't take much to deal with those turrets. So we should have ammo. There's more light rifle ammo up here. You can use that. Make sure you've got plenty of both light rifle and suppressor ammo for the next area, because you are definitely going to need it. You've got more ammo right there just in case, or if you want to give one of those light rifles to your allies, that works as well, because you will not be coming back here. Once you are through these doors and these doors open, the ones behind you will close, and unfortunately you will not be able to backtrack to get additional light rifle ammo. So step back immediately, because 2 soldier snipers will spawn in. You can tell by those little lens flares right there, those little red lens flares. And whenever they've got you targeted, there'll be a little targeting laser just like that that'll hit you. Now, fortunately, the snipers go down in 1 hit. Their face plates are already revealed. I think that's where that big orange glow is coming from. So they're pretty easy to deal with, but they can take you out in 1 hit, so be very wary of them. Fortunately, both those guys fell pretty easily. You also need to be wary of the fact that there are 3 captains with splinter turrets. I was hoping to be able to get him, but no, not quite. And there are 2 watchers. If you can get that first captain without the watchers interfering, that's great. If not, just go ahead and target the watchers first. That way they can't heal the soldiers or protect them later on. Okay, so again, take this nice and slow. My general priority here is first deal with the snipers, then deal with the watchers, then deal with the captains. That way you're free to move about the area much easier. You're still going to get spammed with grenades because there are soldiers in the middle area right there. There are a few soldiers up top. And what we're going to want to do once we clear the splinter turrets, the captains that is we're going to want to beeline it straight for the back area. That way you don't have to worry about soldiers on higher elevation. Some of the soldiers will come to you to help thin the herd out a little bit. Basically, it works out pretty well. So again, we're just going to try to thin the herd a little bit. We got 2 of them down, so we have 1 more that we have to worry about. And I'm going to get my allies back here because he's starting to get a little antsy. Sometimes they won't fire at all, which is the most ideal way to do things, but I almost got him down. Should only be a couple more hits. and then I should be able to finish him off. But I'm trying to take it nice and simple. Basically take out the most pain in the ass enemies first, and then move on to the regular soldiers. Because other than these guys and the Watchers and the snipers, the soldiers here are pretty standard. So we're keeping an eye. The nice thing about him having a splinter turret, or it having a splinter turret, is you can see his point of origin. You can easily see where he's shooting it from, even if you have terrible eyesight. Okay, so fortunately my allies are doing a bang-up job right now, but they're definitely getting spammed by grenades. So if you run out of light rifle ammo, there's not a lot you can do. You're going to have to venture out into the unknown, which is perfectly fine. There's quite a bit of light rifle ammo in this area right here. You definitely don't run short. Now, of course, that's not my way of saying you should spam it, but it does mean that you don't have to hit every shot. So our allies are back. Again, the grenade spam is real. And so we're trying to get our guys back here. Now, what I like about this mission is that there's not so much RNG in it. Yes, your allies can get knocked off the platform, but for the most part, this mission can be easily controlled as long as you know what to expect. So right now what I'm doing is, okay, we're gonna have to thin the herd out a little bit with the soldiers. And once we're able to do that, obviously one of the big things we're going to want to do is I need more light rifle ammo, so I'm going to go ahead and just dash over here real quick.
Move up. On my mark, blue team.
That way I get a better view of where all our soldiers, or all the soldiers really are. And I'm going to see if I can pick up some more light rifle ammo if I'm fortunate enough not to get the grenade spam. Now I'm keeping an eye on my allies here to make sure none of them go down. If we can take out at least a couple of these soldiers and thin the herd just a little bit, it's going to make things a lot easier moving forward. Don't be afraid to send your allies in. That's what they're there for. Okay. Still a lot of soldiers there. I was hoping my allies would be able to get at least one of them. But it looks like that's not happening. So I'm going to send my allies back down here. We're going to have to try a different route. Might have to go ahead and just go straight across. If that's the case, it's not that big of a deal, but I can see my allies are just being tossed around like rag dolls right now. Grenades everywhere. The catch skull is for real in this mission. Alright, so at least I got two of my allies back, so there's one more. Once our ally spawns in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my allies over there first so that they draw the initial attention. And then I'll start going behind them. Hopefully I'll have a couple in front of me and one behind me. And that way that I'm not the first or the last. Now, one thing I've been able to do here occasionally is pepper the soldiers that are lingering around up here with suppressor fire. Sometimes they'll just stand there and do nothing. I've seen this phenomenon before in Halo 3. If you're too far away from an enemy, a lot of times they're not going to respond to being hit. But in this particular case, they seem to be responding. So, yep, that didn't work out as well as I'd hoped. Fortunately, it does not take your allies too long to respawn here, so as soon as he does, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of peek over the edge and see if I can just send my allies straight over there. So I'm lining it up right now, so as soon as he spawns back in, we can make that mad dash across. What you do need to be wary of is those soldiers will try to close the gap very quickly, so make sure your allies are joining you. There's additional ammunition back there, which will help you quite a bit. And once you clear those guys out, what will generally happen is the soldiers that are in the center right now will follow you inside. So you can deal with those guys in a much more controlled location. Once those guys are down, then you can start working your way up top and finishing the remaining soldiers. So it works out pretty well. You just have to sort of take your time and be patient. I don't want to go until our other Spartan, our other blue team member is spawned back in, because the more targets there are, the harder it is for them to find us. So we're pretty much making a mad dash. You can slide if you want to. Just run as quickly as possible. If you want to, you can grab additional ammo over here, but honestly, you just want to go straight back. There's one soldier right there. I got my shields back, so that's definitely a plus, and he's weak too. Make sure your allies are up here. Paint this guy so that your allies know who to fight, and he's already down for the count. Now we've cleared this path for us. This back area right here is ours. So as you can see, there's already a couple of soldiers moving back here. Get your allies ready and start taking them down one at a time. Get that suppressor out, because you're going to be fighting these guys at close range, and that suppressor can do vast amounts of damage to the soldier right here. But make sure your allies are providing a nice buffer for you. So I'm making sure to steer clear of those grenades. They can be very deadly. I'm going to see if I can actually get my shields back with this guy. It just depends on whether or not my allies take him out too quickly, and they did. Not a problem, though. It's okay. So, again, I want to make sure all my allies are armed with Promethean weapons.
Pick up that weapon. Sure.
And I think... Are they? Okay. So again, just load up on extra ammo right here. This is a nice, safe place for you to pitch your tent. And then once you're ready, we can start working our way up the ramps and deal with the final Promethean soldiers. Like I said, this part isn't really that difficult. It's just a matter of being able to take your time, knowing how to prioritize your enemies, and knowing what areas work best for you and your team. So we're going to finish off these guys over here. They're fairly weak. See, already one of them dropped. I think there's one more left. Yep, okay. So they're both down for the count. There's only a few left up top. Now, you do need to be very careful of these guys because they're going to spam you with grenades. So just be aware of that. Once you start climbing up these ramps, you can be launched off the side if you're not careful, and the same applies to your allies. So you want to get as high up here as possible. If you want to, you can just paint your targets one at a time.
Move up.
Just be wary of where the soldiers are. They're going to spread out a little bit up here. There's a nice sizable gap separating you from the central platform. So fortunately, you don't have to worry too much about a soldier rushing your location, but do remember they can phase. And for a second, I almost fell off there. Fortunately, there was a little ledge. Whew. I was about to say 40 minutes in. That is not the way I want to go out on this mission. So be very careful. It's a very common mistake I've made in this game, is not paying attention to the bottomless pits, because there are many of them in Halo 5 Guardians. Okay, so we do have a few soldiers left up here, not too many. So if we just take them out one at a time, we should be fine. But just be wary of that grenade spam. You do also want to make sure your allies stay somewhat close, because if one of those grenades hits you, you're going to need your allies to bring you out of armor lock. So again, just get these guys one at a time. All right. Where'd they go? Where did they go? They're hiding now because they realize they're on the losing end of this battle. Okay, this is where you want to get out your light rifle. Again, there's plenty of ammo up here, so it's okay. The main reason I'm hesitating is because I don't want one of those soldiers to get out of my peripheral vision and just start chucking splinter grenades at me, especially since my allies have sort of stepped to the side at the moment while they're trying to deal with this other soldier. Okay, he's down for the count. Should only be one or two more left. It may just be the one on the end right there. Basically, just watch the grenades and you should be fine. Yeah, I think he's the last one. Let's see if it's even remotely possible for me to get my shields back. Nope, they beat me to it. When they say area is all clear, that means you can proceed forward. So make sure you have all the ammo that you need. Again, there's plenty of light rifle ammo and suppressor ammo here. Fill up on that and you should be in pretty good shape. That's what you're going to need going into this final area. We are almost there, folks. Almost. So we're in pretty good shape at this point. Go ahead and step up onto the platform, and we'll move into the final area. This will be very similar to the first platform, where it's just one long hallway or one long platform where you're going to be dealing with crawlers, soldiers, watchers. I'm sorry, there are no watchers here as far as I know, and Promethean knights. There are going to be snipers here, though. That's going to be a key difference. And the knights aren't going to be normal knights. They're going to be full-blown commanders. Just like the previous knights, they're going to have incineration cannons, so be very careful. Fortunately, because this area is larger, we're going to have more space to work with. But that also means more enemies.
I know.
And that does include soldier captains this time around.
You and I, together.
You'll be fighting both variants of soldier captains here. Some will be carrying splinter turrets, others will be carrying scatter shots. and they will be numerous. So there's, I'm guessing that's the domain right there, that swirling cloud. It looks pretty cool. Maybe that's Cortana. No, I'm just kidding. Now there is one interesting trick here. You can actually jump between the platform and the boarding place right there, and it should launch you up into the air. And you can use that to skip this entire area and drop down to where the Warden Eternals spawn. It's possible. It's very difficult to pull off. And I can tell you right now, 45 minutes into the mission, I'm not willing to test it. But if you've already beaten this mission on Mythic and you're looking to do a speed run, that's certainly one option you can take. Now, I actually spent quite a bit of time trying to figure it out, and you really have to do it just right. If it launches you too high, it'll kill you. If it launches you too far to the left or right, it'll kill you. So just bear in mind that it doesn't happen very often. Usually more times than not, it won't launch me at all. I'll fall straight through. So right up here in this first area, you're going to have a bunch of soldiers. Again, these guys go down fairly easily. There's just a lot of them. You do not want to advance too far too fast. Just like with the first area, if you do that, what's going to happen is, whoop, it slid right back down. What's going to end up happening is you're going to spawn too many enemies for you to deal with. Just like with that first area, the enemies are triggered on how far you advance, not how many enemies you destroy. So take it nice and slow. We're going to start out with these soldiers right here. They're starting to get a little aggressive. I think there's 4 of them total. And I think there's one coming up beside me. I'm not entirely... Yep, there he is. He just... Flag taken. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and finish these guys off. It's not too difficult. They're just armed with suppressors, so there's nothing too difficult here. And of course, once you're at close enough range, they stop trying to spam you with grenades. So my allies are pretty much getting that done. If you can get your shields back, that's great, but it's not necessary, so just keep that in mind. Also, there's quite a bit of ammunition here. But again, there are quite a few enemies as well, so try to use them sparingly. You've got a scatter shot, you've got some bolt shot ammo. A little bit further up, you've got some light rifle ammo. Try to use the light rifle ammo sparingly if you can. You're definitely going to need it towards the end of this room right here, because you're going to be going up against 6, count them, 6 soldier snipers. So right here, we're going to start out by dealing with these focus turrets right here. That way we can get them out of the way. Right below them are 2 soldier captains with splinter turrets. So we're going to want to go ahead and deal with all 4 of those. Took a nice healthy hit from that focus turret right there, and that soldier was just watching the entire time like, yeah, he's just standing there. I can finish him off. Okay, so wait till it's open, and we should be able to finish that thing off. Very good. These things are pretty easy to deal with. So now, since we're pretty far out, I'm not too worried about being hit by these soldiers right here, simply because it takes way too long for their ammo to actually hit me, for those projectiles to make it across the map. So one's down, there's just one more. There we go. Alright, now we can advance a little bit further up. Again, just take your time here. There's no massive rush. We're going to have more soldiers to deal with. So my advice here, we're going to have to take out everything. So just go up one ramp at a time. Send your allies up first. Make sure you get those suppressors out. Whoop. There should be 2 soldiers on each side. And of course the guy backed right into that splinter grenade. It happens. Fortunately, we have our allies right there because we're keeping them close, which is what I recommend you do, especially during this last part right here. You don't want to venture too far out. Remember to spam the hell out of that suppressor. Join your allies. Makes it a lot simpler. More simple. Okay, so we have one more. Sometimes these guys will try to run back to the other side of the platform. Just remember, your allies, once again, cannot trigger other enemies to spawn in. That's you, the player. So you should be in relatively good shape. If you think your allies are getting their asses kicked, tell them to get back up. There we go. So of course, one of the nice things about having scoring enabled is that you can visually see by just what the score is, how many of your allies or which enemies are getting destroyed. You'll learn very early on. It's like, what, 58,000 or something like that as a soldier.
On my mark, blue team.
Okay, so I think we've got that ramp cleared, so we want to go ahead and do the other side next. Make sure you get plenty of ammo. Again, there's lots of it.
Take these coordinates.
And just take it nice and slow. Alright, so where are these other guys? Yep, there they go, popping out, phasing in and out. Alright, so again, we're going to go ahead and send our allies up. And we should be in relatively good shape. Fortunately, they're in pretty close range, so our allies should be able to deal with them pretty easily. It looks like they're chickening out a little bit and trying to back up. I can't say I blame them, though. I mean, they're going up against 4 Spartans here, so there only should be 1 left at this point. Once we take him out, we can advance a little bit further. We're going to have more soldiers to deal with. We're going to have some crawlers to deal with as well, but fortunately, they're going to be a little bit further up. All right, so I'm keeping my eyes out on these guys very carefully, just simply because I don't want them to go too far up, because there are enemies still up there. And I think they're just crawlers for now. But once you get a little bit further, some soldier captains are going to spawn too. So we got to be very careful there, and I don't want my allies dropping out on me. Again, we're already past the point of no return. If you're trying to make sure that your allies all have incineration cannons for the Warden battle, you can't lose anymore here. Alright, there we go. So far we're in pretty good shape. Again, we have more light rifle ammo up here, so don't be afraid to use it. Comes highly recommended. Alright, so it looks like we've got all the soldiers in this area at this point. We're going to go ahead and advance nice and slow. When you start seeing, well, okay, I forgot, we have a few more, or 2 more that are down in this central area right here, so we need to go ahead and deal with them. If you can use this opportunity to get your shields back, that's great, but again, no real pressure. Remember, if we're going to skip the wardens, like, for example, that's what we're doing this time around, if you're going to skip the wardens, then you really don't have to worry too much about your health. It doesn't get that bad from this point. You're going to have to deal with a couple of captains, but really it just comes down to pacing yourself. So I think we've cleared the area this time around. So we just got to move forward a little bit. Again, make sure you have all the ammo that you need, and we're going to have to deal with the crawlers next. Okay, so look around for any light rifle ammo if you can find any. Again, most of this stuff is just scatter shots and bolt shots, but we do have some light rifle ammo as well. So those are the soldiers up there. There's going to be 2 on either side. More will spawn in later. Alright, so we're going to move up just a little bit. Okay, remember, these guys have heavy head armor here. Once you hit them enough times, sometimes they'll temporarily open up their face mask, almost like they're surprised. Fortunately, these guys only have scatter shots. They seem to be a little reluctant when it comes to using grenades. So that is one major benefit. Alright, this guy's about down right here. Perfect. So we should have 1 more on this side, and then 2 more on the other side. And then we're going to have crawlers down in that pit below. That's what the suppressor fire that you're seeing that's coming from that direction. I'm trying not to advance my allies too much here, just simply because I don't want them being overwhelmed by crawlers. Okay, so again, just taking it nice and slow. I don't want to use too much light rifle ammo here, just simply because I do need to save it for those snipers. That's going to be by far the easiest way to take them out. Fun fact though, if you close the difference between you and a soldier sniper, they'll typically switch their weapon to a suppressor. So yes, there are some soldiers out there that actually do have secondary weapons. Alright. So I feel like dealing with the soldiers at this point, the crawlers at this point would be the right way to go. Because unless one of them just happens to wander over here. Again, typically when it comes to soldiers, they like to stay on their respective sides. They don't cross too often. Now you do have man cannons that you can use to easily get from one side to the other. I would not, under any circumstances on Mythic, recommend that you use them when there are tons of active enemies in the area, especially if you do not have shields. Remember, they can get you pretty quick. So there are only a few crawlers down there. Again, if you're able to use this opportunity to get your shields back with the crawlers, that's great, but there are a lot of them. And as you can see, I got dropped right there. It's a little frustrating. Hopefully my allies will not chicken out on this one and will bring me back, which they fortunately did. Perfect. So again, just slowly work at taking these guys out. I got dropped a second time. Clearly, I need to start sending my allies in there instead of just trying to take them out myself. Alright, so where are you? There we go. Another crawler down.
Take this position.
Just taking our time here. Okay. This is getting very tedious now.
Target the crawler.
I really just want to hurry up and take these guys out so I can deal with the soldier captains on the opposite side. Looks like my allies are already getting a head start. Okay, so another crawler is down. Looks like there's at least one more left. Okay, is that it? Is that it? Did we get all the crawlers? I think so. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and move to the other side. Alright, so we have two more soldier captains right here. I want my allies to pick up any suppressors that they can find. Of course, I want my allies to also keep their incineration cannon. So as long as they're all armed with Promethean weapons, we should be pretty solid here. Again, if you're trying to fight the Warden Eternal, then you should be in good shape. I believe at least two of my allies have incineration cannons. And there is one incineration cannon that's in a crate here. That's the one that you want to take with you if you're going to fight the Warden. And then the two knights that we're going to see in a few minutes, those will also have incineration cannons, so those can be utilized as well. So essentially, if two of your allies are not armed with incineration cannons at this point, there's still a chance. But if your third one loses their incineration cannon, then you're not going to have the ammo capacity that you need to deal with 3 Warden Eternals. So again, we're just making sure we have all of our ammo here, full light rifle ammo, full suppressor. Make sure you've got everything that you need. And then we're going to go ahead and spawn the final wave. This will be crawlers, captains, snipers, and 2 Promethean knights. Promethean knights. I almost said soldiers there. Fortunately, you have a lot of space to work with here, so utilize it. And that light rifle crate right there, that's going to be your best friend for the rest of this area. So just keep in mind where that is, because you're going to need it. Okay. So here we go. Alright, moving forward. Nice and slow. We're going to see those lens flares pop up, and that means get back into cover as quickly as you can. Because those snipers will be gunning for you right off the bat. Now, for some reason, my allies like to get in the way here. They're just sort of chilling out. Like, I'm zeroing in, and then they jump in the way, and they say, "Hey, same team, Spartan." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. You're an idiot." Alright, so again, there's 6 of them here, so be very careful. Just take it nice and slow. Alright. Starting to get a little jittery. So one's down. Perfect. At least they're easy to hit. That's one of the major upsides to these guys. You can tell when they're aiming at you, and even when they are, it just takes one steady shot to bring them down. Okay, there's another one. Getting a little nervous. I don't know how long it takes. Usually about half a second of them aiming at you. Okay. Yeah, I had to be careful right there. He had that little beam out. He was ready. Okay. Pinpoint accuracy. Alright, 2 of them down. Where's number 3? There he is. Alright, that's 3 down. 3 to go. So I'm just taking it nice and simple. There's one hiding out over here, but he's got his back to me. And unfortunately, I can't get that one shot unless he's facing me, like he is right now. He heard me talking to him. Okay, there we go. That's 4. Alright, here were the soldier captains that are going to lend some backup to the knights here. So just keep these guys in mind. Really, I'm going to try to focus mostly on the knights. If I see one of the other snipers come back into play, then I'll deal with them then. I was hoping to get that shot off where I could easily take out his faceplate. Maybe I can get it this time. Oh, just missed. It's not easy to do with the blind skull on. Okay, so this will be a good time to actually armor up again. Make sure we got plenty of light rifle ammo, especially for dealing with those final snipers. And of course, I prefer to use the suppressor against the soldiers while having my allies close by, giving me some covering fire. So we're going to take a peek out there, see if we can find any of those other snipers. There's one. Trying to be very careful here. Okay, both of them are over there. All right. Okay. The lens flare is making it hard to tell if their faces are out, if they're partially in cover. There we go. 5 down, 1 to go. Where are you, buddy? There. All right. All snipers are down. We are almost there. Got a couple of soldiers pitching their tents, camping in the back, and one very confused Promethean knight kind of walking around, just waving his gun in the air, cheering on his Second Amendment rights. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can deal with these soldiers real quick. Yeah, okay, maybe I shouldn't be wasting that ammo on them. But I do want to thin the herd at the same time. Alright, maybe... Okay, let's take a look at this incineration cannon over here. Now, I would highly recommend against this if you're planning on dealing with the wardens. You want to save this for that battle, but since that's not what we're doing today, we're going to be skipping the warden fight. Feel free to try to use this against the knights. Now, just a fair heads up, if you're actually close enough to use this, they're close enough to be able to tag you with theirs as well. And because of the distance we are now, they may be using tough luck to their advantage. But I'm hoping to at least hit a couple of enemies or weaken them at the very least. Our allies already have their incineration cannons at this point, so I don't think it's going to do us a lot of good. I think one of my allies just got launched off the side right there. Okay, fortunately I got one of the captains to advance, so we can at least take another one of these guys down. I'd love to make sure the knights are the last guys standing here. They can be pretty tough. It doesn't take much. Just remember, one well-placed shot on their part and you go down. You go down like a sack of potatoes. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can actually get this guy with the light rifle. Could be possible. Come on, can we get him? Yes! And that is how you do it. That's how you take down a knight instantaneously. The problem is, when you've already taken out both of their arm vents, or whatever they are, their weak spots, then you can't get them to open up their mask anymore. They only do it through significant or catastrophic damage. So it gets a little bit more complicated. I think I actually hit him directly with that one, but he's still pretty strong. So what I'm going to end up doing at some point, once I can actually get some space and make sure all my allies are back, is I'll send my allies over there to the other side and just have him turn around. And of course, as I'm saying that, he's like, no, I've got an idea for you. Alright, so we're back up here. That's good. I could always get one of my allies to pick up the incineration cannon. There we go. Fortunately, my allies always have infinite ammo for this, so that works pretty well. Okay, I'm going to see if I can break his faceplate. If not, then I'll just send my allies to the other side. This room is large enough that they can actually get by the knights without too much trouble. Maybe one of my allies will go down for the count. But it looks like for now, this soldier is finally advancing to my location, and he is getting just slammed by my allies. I don't think there are any soldiers left at this point. There could be one, unless my allies took him out already. All I see at this point is the Promethean Knight. Oh, there is one soldier left. Okay, if I can get him with the... Oh, he turned around just in time. He's sitting there going, you ever get that feeling you're being watched? Well, apparently he was getting that feeling because he was right. Alright, so the knight's almost down, though. Okay, let's see if we can get that one soldier. Alright, another soldier down. Alright, let's zero in on this Promethean Knight. My allies, all their incineration cannon majesty, so I'm going to send them to the other side of the room. Get that knight's attention away from me, and when his back is turned, I can hit his exposed core. So we're almost there. Turn around, turn around. There we go. Knights are down. I think that's it. Unless there's another soldier left. I'm not getting the green light to go forward. You can't proceed past this door until you've cleared all the enemies. So apparently there's, I'm guessing there's one enemy left. Yeah, the door is not opening, so there's something else here. But where? Where are you hiding? Nope, still not letting me go forward. Okay, so yep, there's one more enemy. Oh, I see him. Okay, another captain. He was hiding. He's like, no, I'm gonna get you. I'm not done yet. All for one and all for me. Okay, let's just switch to the binary rifle real quick. I want to drop this guy like a bad habit. There we go. All right, good old binary rifle. So for this next bit, again, if you had been building your arsenal to fight the wardens, at this point you have all of your buddies have incineration cannons, so do you, but you also want to have a full binary rifle as well. You'd send all your allies to the left while you start systematically taking out the wardens. But since we're skipping it, run to the right over here, get into this little man cannon, boost forward with a dash, and then use a ground pound to get to the ledge. And that's the mission. That is Mythic Difficulty for the mission The Breaking. So what did you think about this? What's the hardest part of this mission for you? What are you dreading the most? I'd love to hear your thoughts and your opinions in the comment section below, or feel free to hit me up on Twitter at MythicTyrant. A link to my Twitter feed can be found in the description below. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for taking the time to stop by here today. I hope it helps you on your own walkthroughs. And if you enjoyed this video, I hope you consider subscribing for more great content right here on MythicTyrant.com. Thanks so much for watching, guys and gals. I'll catch you all right back here next time. And as always, I'm the Tyrant, signing off.